Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. Couldn't be here with you, but this is the next best thing, right? I'm going to pull up my website here first of all, and today is about type layers in Photoshop. Yay. And on the help page, I do have a bit of a handout here. If you scroll this down, there it is, type layers. And all of the details are spelled out right here. Big thing you'll need to know here, you're going to make 3 Photoshop documents. Each one has to contain some text. And I want it to be styled. And I'm going to show you in this video what I mean by styled. And those are the required things. 3 documents, school appropriate text, styled with layer styles. To get your points, you have to do all 3 of those things. Step-by-step instructions are right here on the handouts on the website. I'm going to show you how to warp text. That's an optional thing. You don't have to warp text if you don't want to, but I'm going to show you how. You'll save each one, and I would just recommend like text 1, text 2, text 3 as your file names. Turn them in on Schoology, whatever you want to call it. That is right here. All right, so we're kind of set up. This is one, I'm just going to minimize this down out of the way, and this is one you're just going to get Photoshop started. And what you're going to do here first of all is just make a new document. Now I will go ahead and do kind of our normal thing. Again, the size, really, you can adjust that if you want to. If you don't want to do the 1200 by 900, do something different if you like. I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that, and I have a document to work with. Now for the background, well, it's really kind of up to you. You can decide what you want to do with the background. Leave it white, fill it with a gradient, fill it with a color. I'm going to fill this one with a solid color. I'll just do fill and color, and I think I'll go with a red color and click OK. All right, that part is ready to roll. Now let's take a look at how to do a type layer and what all your options are. The type tool looks like a capital letter T on the toolbar. Just click it, and that activates the type tool. You could also press the letter T on the keyboard to turn the type tool on. Come out to your document and just click one time. Now don't drag a box. Just click one time only, and then that will place a typing cursor. Now what I'm going to do on this first one, and you can do any school appropriate text that you want. You can use your name or some name of an athletic team or a band or a singer or a catchphrase or whatever you come up with, but I'm going to do QUAKERS on this first one just as an example. Now when you do it, your text might not be that big and it may be a different font, and I'm going to show you how to handle all of that kind of thing here in just a moment. Now I clicked once with the type tool. I typed the text I wanted. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the check mark up here, and this is a lot like transforming. We have to tell Photoshop, okay, I like my text. So I'm going to go ahead and click there, and the text is on the page. Now I'm going to tear my layer panel off here. In fact, I'm going to drop it in this well right here so you can kind of see this as I go a little bit. Now, anytime on the layer panel that you see a capital T right here, you know that this is a type layer. And it even is telling me what it says. It's telling me Quakers. Now, one thing you may want to do once you click the check mark, you might want to do a transform. I'm going to do Control T on the keyboard, and I'm just going to use these handles to take my text and make it much bigger. All right, there we go. And like always, when you're done transforming, you have to come up here and click your check mark. Got it. All right, now what about things like the color of the text, the font that it's using, all that kind of thing? Well, here's how you can handle that. There's several ways to do it, but I'm going to show you this way. Here on the type layer, right over here, there's a capital T that marks the layer. I'm going to double click on that capital T. Now what happens there is, like a word processor, the text gets selected. All right, now I can come here and I can choose a font that I want. And I can look all through all of these fonts. You can look through any font that's on your system and choose whatever you like. If I like this Bodini, you see what's happening to that. It's changing the font. If I want to change it to Calibri, you can change it to whatever you want. As long as the type is selected, you can make it whatever you would like to make it. Now I think I'm actually going to go back to, and these are alphabetical here, I'm going to go back to that Impact font, because it's a thick, bold font, and I like it, and I use it a lot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now right here is a color chip, and I could click that color chip and say, well, okay, I really want to change the color of that text, and so I can make it a different color. All right, so I'll click OK there. Now, when you've made the changes that you want up here, you can click the check mark right here and tell Photoshop, okay, I've got the text the way I want it for right now. And now you can see that we have this, this big bold lettering. It's blue. It says Quakers, and so I'm making some progress. So this is looking pretty good. I've got a type layer on there, and the type is nice and big. So now here's the next thing that is a part of this assignment. You have to do this at least for every one of these documents. You've got to do this at least a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go to the layer styles. We've used these before, and today I want you to take this text and not leave it just plain. This is just kind of plain flat blue text. All right, well let's go to work on this. Let's add whatever you want to add. Again, play with it. I hope you're used to that. Play with it. What if I say, well, I'm going to add like an inner shadow on this text, and so I'll kind of tweak the angle and the distance, and I'll bring up the opacity of that a little bit. And if you'll look at the Quaker text there, you can see what that inner shadow is doing. It's kind of looking like it's dropping down into the document a little bit. So I'm getting an inner shadow effect on that. Now maybe I'll add a stroke around the outside of it. And maybe this stroke is going to be white, and make it a little bit larger, bump it up to about size 7. And right now it's on the outside of the text. Do I want it on the inside of the text? I think I like it better on the outside of the text. So see, I've got a couple of things going on now. It's stroked in white, and I've got that inner shadow happening here. And again, I could add any other things that I think I want to add. It's really, really up to you. Play with as much of this as you want. You want to add a little bevel emboss there and kind of play with the size of it. And you can see what I'm getting there. It looks kind of three-dimensional. When I add that bevel emboss, it's kind of puffed up a little bit. And there's so many options here that you can play with as you adjust that. So I want you to take the text that you create and use these layer styles to dress it up a little bit and make it, just a little bit different. Do something to it. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. See, that looks pretty cool. Here's what, if I turn my effects off, it was just plain blue text before. And then after, well, it's much more interesting now. It pops. It has some different features to it that it didn't have before. All right, so this is one of them. Remember, you have to do 3 of them. So I'm going to go File, I'm going to go Save As, and I'm going to get to my network drive here real quick, and this will just be text number 1. Okay, great. And I'll just replace the old one that I have, and that one's done. Now, to move on, I'm going to, and I know that you're thinking, okay, I get it, but I got to show you a couple other things. All right. So this time I'm going to, for my background, I'm going to use a gradient, and I think I'll just get one of these kind of simple gradients down here, and I'll just drag that gradient out, and so I'm pretty happy with that. That's fine. I'll go get my type tool. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to do this. I can't spell. All right. It's hashtag. Oh, whatever. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark here and do a transform, Control T, because I want it to be nice and big and bold and all that kind of stuff. Okay, great. There we go. Click the check mark there. I'm going to come here to my layer panel. I'm going to double click on the letter T to get it highlighted because I want to change fonts this time. I tend to like big, bold fonts, but I'll use this Gill Sans and Ultra Bold this time. And I'm just going to make, for right now, I'm just going to make the text white. All right, so I just changed the font and the color, same way I did it last time, and I'm going to hit the check mark. But now you're looking at it and think, oh my goodness, it doesn't fit on the document anymore. Well, that's because I changed the font. That's why. So I'm just going to do another transform, Control T, and I'll just work with this a little bit. I'll just size it down some, and there we go. I'll make it fit. All right, I might make it a little bit taller and kind of stretch it out a little bit. You can do, do whatever you want there. And I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark up here to commit to my transformation. All right, now once again, it's just flat white text. So now we've got to dress it up a little bit. All right, well, there's things like gradient overlay, and I'm going to pick kind of a colorful gradient here, and I've got to make a couple of adjustments because I was playing with gradient overlays earlier. So you see I've got this gradient overlay, and it's applying that gradient to the text. And again, there's just, you could use any gradient that you want Here's some just quick examples here, and I could give this thing like an outer glow, and I could beef up this spread and size of this outer glow, and I could change the color of the outer glow if I wanted to. Make it more of like a blue outer glow, and change the blend mode to normal. And so now you're starting to see that outer glow a little bit better. Bring up the opacity of that outer glow. So you see what I'm getting there. I'm getting that glow around there. I've got a gradient overlay happening. Maybe I'll throw on a little bevel emboss on that. Sure, why not? Maybe we'll try a little pillow emboss instead of what I have it on before, inner bevel. Maybe I'll do an outer bevel. I kind of like that. That looks kind of cool. And you can even, there's this texture thing. Look at that. You can click on texture and say, well, let's use some kind of texture on that. Oh, look at the kind of things that we've got happening here. All right. So again, please understand, I'm going to turn that texture off. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. Understand that this is so much a matter of really just experimenting and playing and seeing what you can do with move that shadow a little bit there. Now you can kind of see I got a drop shadow behind it as well, and I'm going to bring up the opacity of that drop shadow a little bit. All right, so I've got this really stylish text here, and I'm going to click OK. And again, if I turn my effects off, remember it did look like that. It was plain flat white text, and I did some affecting work on it here. I've got all these things going on. There's nothing wrong with solid color text, really, but today I want you to dress it up a little bit. Get some of these effects on there. To get your points, just do that for me today. All right, so we're going to go save as, and I'm on my network drive. This is going to be text 2. All right, got an old one called that. And now here's the last one. I'm going to do this really quick. A new document, and we're going to do 1200 by 900. But if you have a different size, it's okay. It's not a big deal. And I'm going to make I'm going to do edit, fill, and get kind of a yellow color for my background. Kind of like that. I'm going to click my type tool. Click once. Remember, don't do a box. If you click a box, you're going to struggle. You are going to struggle. If you click a box, even this demo is not going to make a whole lot of sense. So what I suggest you do is take the type tool, click once on the document. If you want to use the caps lock, you can. I've been doing that a lot. All right, I'm just going to say bazinga. Again, it's the Big Bang Theory thing, and I'll come up here and click the check mark. All right, now first of all, again, I'm going to do a Control-T transform because I would like for this text to be nice and big. And I'm just going to keep this font, this Gil Sans font here. I'll just stay with it. I'll just stick with it. All right, I'll click the check mark there. Now I'm going to go ahead and affect this thing a little bit. I'll go effect, and I'm going to do a color overlay first of all. I'm going to change the color to a red color. I could drop the opacity, so I think I'll just leave it red like that. Maybe I'll even throw a stroke on that, but this time I think I want the stroke to be black, and maybe more like size 10, and in the center. So you see all the things that I'm getting there, and maybe I'll add a drop shadow as well and just kind of play with angle and distance a little bit. All right. So I did a combination of color overlay, which really kind of changed the color of the text. Color overlay, stroke, and drop shadow, OK. Now the thing I want to show you on this one is what if you want to warp the text? You can warp the text if you want to. On the type layer, there's a choice here that says warp text. All right, up at the top is a type layer, warp text, and then here's how it works. Right now the style is set on none, but you can choose anything off of that style. For example, if I say arc, look what happened to Bazinga there. Now I can bend it less. I don't have to bend it that much if I don't want to. I can control the bend, the horizontal distortion, the vertical distortion. I can control all kinds of things about that. Or I could try something different. I could try flag. I could try, of course, you could try fish and increase the bend a little bit, and that kind of looks like a fish. All right, so this warping text thing, is this something you could check it out, see if you like it. If you like it warped the way it is, I've kind of landed here. I've got rise, and I've increased the bend a little bit, and I'm going to click OK. Now I could move that text if I want to, drop down the screen a little bit so I can move it up some. And there it is. It's warped text. All right. Now remember, you don't have to warp, but you can warp if you want to. So I'm going to do a save as, and this is going to be text 3. And we're good there. And so that's the mission of the day. You're going to work on creating 3 Photoshop documents. Here's my one. I did Quakers. I did hashtag, and bazinga. Well, all right, so school appropriate text, 3 of them. Put styles on them. You got to style them. If you give me plain text, you're going to lose some points. You got to style them. And when you get them done, you're going to hop up here to Schoology, whatever, and turn them in. All right, folks, that's the mission of the day. 1, 2, 3, or wait, I should say, I'm bailing, you're sailing.